All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on the invisible operating system that runs, well, pretty much every company you deal with every single day. Let's dive in.
Seriously, just stop and think about that for a second. How on earth does a company like Amazon get millions of packages to the right doorstep? How does your bank track every single tap of your credit card instantly? Or how does Netflix just know what you're in the mood to watch? Well, it's not magic, even though it definitely feels like it sometimes. The secret is this powerful, complex, and totally essential invisible brain that's working tirelessly behind the scenes. And today, we're going to take a look inside and see exactly how it thinks. So, to get how this brain works, we first have to understand what it eats. It's fuel. And its entire diet is based on one absolutely crucial process, turning useless noise into something valuable. So you've got two things here. On one side, you have raw data. Just think of it as a giant, chaotic spreadsheet with millions of random numbers, names, dates, and clicks. It's just noise. It's totally meaningless by itself. But when you take that noise and you process it, organize it, give it some context, it becomes information. It becomes the clear signal that you can actually use to make smart decisions. And hey, don't just take my word for it. This quote, which is pulled directly from a university exam paper, just nails it. Information isn't just data. It's data that's been made useful, delivered to the right person at the right time so they can actually make a call. Okay, so you've turned all that raw data into super valuable information. Awesome. But now you've got a brand new problem. Where do you put all of it so you can find anything again without losing your mind? So in the old days, you basically had a file system. And the best way to picture this is just throwing all your books into a giant pile on the floor. Yeah, they're all there, somewhere, but good luck finding that one specific paragraph you need. It's chaos. That's why we have the Database Management System, or a DBMS. This is the massive upgrade. Think of it like a perfectly organized digital library. Everything has its place, it's all cataloged, it's all structured, and you can instantly find anything you want using a special language like SQL, which, by the way, is basically like telling a magic librarian exactly what you need, and it brings it to you in a split second. So we know what information is, and we know how to store it in our fancy digital library. But how do companies actually build these enormous, complex systems from the ground up? I'll tell you this much, they don't just wing it. They follow a very specific blueprint. And this right here, this is that blueprint. It's called the System Development Lifecycle, or SDLC for short. It's pretty much the fundamental recipe for cooking up any information system. First, you analyze what you actually need. Then you design how it's going to look and work. Then you actually build the thing. And finally, you roll it out. But how you follow these steps, that makes all the difference. So the classic way of doing things is called the waterfall model. It is super rigid, super linear. You have to finish step 1 completely. 100% done before you can even think about starting step 2. It's like baking a cake by following a recipe word for word, but you're not allowed to taste the batter or the frosting until the entire cake is finished and on the table. So why do it? Well, it's predictable. It works great for projects where you know exactly what you need from the very beginning and nothing is going to change. But what if you want to taste as you go? Well, that's where the more modern approaches come in, like the spiral or prototyping model. With this, instead of building the whole thing at once, you build a small working version, a prototype, and you show it to people and get feedback. Then you go back, you make it better, you add a few features, and you do it all over again in cycles. It's exactly like tasting and adjusting a recipe while you're cooking. It's way more flexible, way more adaptive, and honestly, a lot closer to how most modern tech gets built. All right, enough theory. Enough with the blueprints and recipes. Let's look at the actual systems that these methods create, the ones that are, right now, running the world all around us. First step, you've got the Transaction Processing System, or TPS. This is the absolute workhorse. It's designed to handle a massive volume of day-to-day routine stuff. Every time a barcode gets scanned at the grocery store, every time you use an ATM, every time you book a flight online, that's a TPS doing its job over and over and over again. Next up is the Decision Support System, or DSS. Think of this one as the analyst. It takes all that raw data from the TPS we just talked about and turns it into useful charts and reports for managers, like a sales dashboard that shows a manager which products are flying off the shelves. The system doesn't make the decision for them, but the DSS supports them in making a much smarter one. And then things get really interesting with expert systems. These are the specialists. They're built to actually mimic the knowledge and the decision-making skills of a human expert, but in one very specific field. A classic example is in medicine, where a system can analyze a patient's symptoms and medical history and then suggest possible diagnoses for a human doctor to review. Pretty wild, right? Okay, so why did we just go through all of this? Because understanding this stuff, it's not just for computer science majors. It's actually like having a secret superpower for navigating the world we live in today. So what's the big takeaway for you? Well, you can now basically see the matrix. You can see that invisible brain working behind your favorite apps, behind the companies you buy from. This knowledge is a new kind of literacy that makes you a smarter consumer, a much more valuable employee, and it gives you the foundation to see how things could be better, or to even build the next great system yourself. And that's valuable in any career, not just tech. And check this out. Everything we just talked about, from data versus information to all the different types of systems, it all comes from this blueprint. This is an actual syllabus for a business course on this exact subject. It might look a little intimidating at first, but you now have the key concepts to decode it, and by doing that, you can decode the entire modern business world. So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. Now that you can see these invisible brains operating all around you, from the payment system at your local coffee shop, all the way up to global supply chains, the real question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Thanks for watching.